After the discovery of our village, the spy went on his way towards the Castle von Albrecht. Here, the cardinal and some noblemen resided and spoke to each other in a meeting. At the Great Hall, they were talking a potential plan to attack the village. Of course, they did not agree first, but time will only tell what the answer will be. Meanwhile, at the village, a man named Gerbo has arrived and told me he had claimed a plot of land without my knowledge. Apparently, the local landowner sold him that piece of land without my permission. He wanted to build a farm, a Vierkanshoeve with stables, a yard, and a baker for bread. He wanted to expand upon it and build an enormous farm. Of course, I said sure. At least the hard work was already done and the foundations were laid. So he just told me and gave me a building plan. This means that I can just make the build without having to design it. The bakery will be made out of white plaster. This makes sure that the bakery will not be burned down and that everything is a solid structure, and also bring a little bit more color towards the village. Then there will be beams constructed out of pine wood sourced from the local tree area. I still need to build a lumberyard, so these are all bought in. But eventually everything looked very nice for the first floor, with a nice furnace for food, a side storage to store flour, valuables, or any food materials. Or it could be used as a storage for any other goods, for trade for example. After finishing the first part of the building, I looked upon it nicely. I went back to Gerbo to inform him about the initial process. I said, "Hey Gerbo, look, your build is nice." I then also started to collect some wheat and some potatoes. The wheat was for the stables, to make a thatched roof. I already collected them early because I needed quite a lot of it. I then made the second floor. These will also be made with the pine wood planks that I still had. These will be placed upon the beams so that everything is supported fully. Of course, this was again a very fun process, because it just shows that the building is so much more than just laying a flat foundation. And it shows that everything is supported and makes it just a little bit more realistic. While building the other part of the roof, there was an enderman that just really confused me. I don't know, it just came out of nowhere, just there and there, stealing all my blocks. After the enderman incident, I made my to-do roof. To make sure that all the supports are right. I made this into a triangle, so that the roof would be fully supported, and back again. And then put a window in, and then the supports into the front, so that it gave some extra nice detail. I then put the supports down, so that it brought a little bit more in-depth detail. I always do this, so that everything looked very, very nice. And it just brings out the nice realism to it. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough materials, so I just needed to grab a few more. But for the rest, it looked very nice. I also added some extra pillars to it to hold up the roof once I get started on it. And I made a slight interior. And a staircase that goes up. Then I proceeded to go with the foundations of the roof. The nice wooden beams that go all round. And to make sure that the roof was stable. God, this is such a satisfying process. Then I finished up the roof. And just put a little bit more of the foundation down. After being done with the roof, I went back home and slept through the night, but first saying goodbye to Gerbo. The next day, I began to make the roof again. This time, I used the wooden shingles again, since I wanted to replicate it from the other buildings. Of course, these are the wooden shingles, but the stables and the other buildings are going to be made out of thatch. The thatch that I'm used, I grow it in my local area. Of course, I will need to have much more thatch in the future if we want to eventually build the castle and any other buildings, because thatch is easy to get. And so this farm and bakery were very important. And I also want to start making bread to increase its population. But first, I needed to finish this roof by the end of the day. Then, after a few hours, the roof was almost complete. Well, at least this side of the roof. So I went back down, accidentally, and just inspected it to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Then I made the other side of the roof. This was also a sleeping quarter and a storage. These were for the hired people that are gonna work into the fields. And of course the maid or some sleeping quarters or for anyone else that can visit it. This will provide some extra space for storage and people. After a couple hours, I was done. Inspected everything on the behalf, like the bakery over here, and the main storage and living quarters. I still had to do a lot, but at least the bakery was done. I then told Gerbo all about it. He inspected it as well, and then I started to make the next part. The stables. And the storage. First I made a wall and a doorway, so that I can enter the Vierkantshoeve. And the baker. This will also call for a little bit of protection, for example against thieves, so that they could close the door up at night. And the animals can't walk away. I also did it on the other side. That I have two doors. It was already looking quite nice. I then made out of the birch logs that I still had from my previous builds, the stables. I went around the foundations, which were already properly planned before, and then went all around. After also making the structure and the roof, and all the support upon it, I went to give a last look and put the thatch upon it. Quite a lot of thatch it is, and then added the second building to it. After finishing the bakery, Gerbo congratulated on me, and then I took a peek around. So in this first room is where the people cook for themselves, and in the second room is the bakery, owned by Alan V7. Then outside of here is the yard, with the sleeping quarters on the left, and the stable, with the stable and mighty hammer. This was a very nice stable, and there's already a horse and some hay. The farms weren't prepared yet, but soon they will be, once they hired all the hired hands and potential villagers that are willing to help, because it has to be an effort to make them. Upstairs are the sleeping quarters for Gerbo. Of course he was a very rich man, so he wanted to have a very nice bed. Oh man, look at this view. As it is currently autumn. Well, goodbye Gerbo, but I have to go.